Good afternoon. How are you today? Well, it's brisk, but the sun is out. It makes a difference, but the wind is also up at about 5 miles an hour, so I guess we're somewhere in the 40s. But it's pleasant out, and I'm coming out a little later because kind of a busman's holiday. I spent some of my time listening to the hearing down in Georgia, in which Willis and Wade, the two persons implicated in a relationship that some are insisting shows a conflict that would require them to fire Willis as the prosecutor in the case. But first, let's talk about New York. In New York, the Trump trial is on for March 25th, and that is the trial that involves the porn star and the hush money, and it occurs when Trump is a citizen. And he's already gone to court once to say, oh, you can't prosecute me in state court because I'm a federal guy, and the courts have said, nah, we're not so sure about that. And the trial starting on March the 25th, and the date was cleared with the prosecutor in D.C., that is Judge Chutkan, and it's estimated that the trial will take 6 weeks to try. Now, Todd Blanche, who's the attorney or the lead attorney for Trump in that case, he said he had other cases, and the judge said, well, you should have taken that into consideration when you had other cases for Trump. So you're into this, and we're not going to give him more time. And Blanche also said, hey, Judge, he wants to campaign. The judge said, nope, the trial comes first. That's what you got to do. So at the base of it, it's $130,000 that was paid, and part of the problem is they labeled it as legal expenses when it wasn't that, and they had to structure the payout so that it would, I guess, pass superficial review that it was what it was said to be. And Rudy Giuliani didn't help. If you may remember, he took to the airwaves and explained, oh, everybody does it, I've done it. And then right after that, they kicked Rudy out of his law firm, which sounds about right. So there are 34 counts. They're felonies because of the way the case was structured. And it's very possible that the first criminal case that was brought against Trump will be the first case to be tried, will be the first case to convict Trump. Now, could that change? I think that the prosecutor and the judge in New York might defer to the federal court in D.C., Judge Chutkan, if the use immunity stuff goes away quicker rather than slowly. Otherwise, we have a state prosecution, and if Trump happened to be elected, he could not dismiss the state case. He could not pardon himself in the state case. So that's an important thing to know, and it's a thing that I'm sure that Trump knows about it. Now, let's turn our attention further south, and I apologize the other day. I think I referred to the Georgia case as being in Florida. I don't know what I was thinking. It's but I wasn't thinking, I guess. But this is definitely the Georgia case. And Fani Willis is the prosecutor, and she's a hard charger. And the hearing, however, was whether or not, somehow or other, she was the recipient of funds from one of her appointees, Wade, Mr. Wade, and did that create a conflict, if true, that was related to his appointment in the first place? Okay, so how would that happen? In other words, they had a deal and were dating each other before he was appointed, and after he was appointed, he spent money on her, which would be a conflict. Okay, now, the hearings went on today, and I think they've gone on almost the whole day. And I heard portions of it while I was doing other things. But I think I've got it down faithfully. The longest witness on the stand for most of the day was Wade. But before he testified, a woman took the stand, Robin Bryant Yearty. Now, Robin claimed to be a lifelong friend to the prosecutor, to Ms. Willis. But that's not exactly the case, but we'll get into that in a moment. She claimed that before the pair admitted to having a serious relationship, a romantic relationship as everybody wants to describe it as, those two were, before that date, as memorialized in an affidavit by Mr. Wade, those two were already having a relationship. And she claimed that she had not only been told that by Willis, but that she had observed them cuddling and kissing. Now, here's the thing. Robin also admitted that she had been fired from Willis's office, and she resisted it and thought it was unfair and wrong. In other words, we have a wrong person who comes forward as a witness to say that she observed these two having public displays of affection when nobody else has seen any such thing. So that's all very suspicious. Now, Wade on the stand denied these accusations, but the show of the day, which is still going on as I'm walking, was when Ms. Willis came to court and took the stand herself and started out by saying, "This is a lie. This is all a lie." And she pretty much dominated the witness stand rather than the defense attorney. Defense attorney didn't know how to command her. And there were really two parts to the accusation. One segment is, when is their relationship? Did their relationship occur before he was appointed? The pair of them said, no, we had our relationship after Wade was appointed. Number one. Number two, what about the funds? Well, it turns out that Wade explained that she also paid for some of these trips that they did, and she paid in cash. Now, everybody sort of looked askance that she would have paid in cash. But she got on the stand and she explained, look, my dad always taught me to keep cash around the house, and he has safes and so forth, and I have followed his instruction, and I carry cash. And for instance, if I go out with a gentleman, I always have $200 in my pocket, because one can never know, as my dad advised me, what could go wrong. So you always want to be able to have that ability to take care of yourself. And she very directly, the prosecutor, contradicted the defense based on their pleadings, calling them lies, and demanding an opportunity to explain her answers. And the judge let her do it, and the defense counsel just couldn't control her, because the biggest sin of defense counsel is not knowing how to ask a leading question of an adverse witness. And when they proposed that she was an adverse witness, she says, no, I'm not. I'm not an adverse witness. I'm here for the people. And she said, and we're here against those people over there, pointing to them, who tried to steal an election. So you get an idea of the drama of it. Now, what can we expect? Well, I don't know what the judge will do. And he has not been anxious to start this trial sooner. So we have that problem. And the other thing that I'm concerned about is, if in fact the judge were to remove the prosecutor from the case, then what we'd have is a situation in which perhaps no other prosecutor would be appointed or step forward. And I think that's been the game all along. And that's why Trump, who was originally going to come there, they discouraged him from going there and going to the New York court proceeding where they set his trial date. And I think he wanted to be there to be part of the show. But I don't think they wanted him, that is the Trump team of lawyers, I don't think they wanted him to distract from what they thought would be a romp in the park. Now, some commentators, before Wade had finished his testimony and before Ms. Willis took the stand, were saying, maybe she should end it all and she should resign, she should withdraw, she should recuse herself. That was just dead wrong. And it's dead wrong on so many levels, because it is, while the hearing is being had, judging that she should give up without her day in court. Now, and on top of that, how do you ignore these people trying, when I say these people, I'm talking about the Trump entourage, the mob, the gang of consiglieri, the people playing for delay and for attacking a prosecutor, as happens in any decent case. So these are the things that are going on there. And for anybody to come out and say, hey, I think, she'd really do us all a favor if she'd withdraw. This is why we lose. We don't fight. We don't push back. We don't see the motivation. We believe if somebody draws a little blood that the fight is over. The fight's only begun. And I'm glad to say that Willis understands that. She was heroic. She came into that courtroom with the power that few have opposed Trump have done. She came in and she said, this is all a lie, this is wrong, and you make a mistake when you think I'm on trial. I'm not on trial. Those people over there, all those defendants represented by counsel, they're the ones on trial. I don't think the judge knew exactly how to handle her. And I get concerned that maybe there are a lot of people on the wrong side of this issue who would like the case to go away in Georgia and be just as happy if they could get a judge say, I'm really concerned here, and kicking them off the case. And if they did kick off Willis and they did kick off Wade, they would discredit the entire office and not let them handle the case. So they would presumably, if done honestly, get another prosecutor. But no prosecutor wants this case. And no prosecutor is going to take this case and do with it what Willis did. And the judge could shrink the case in the meantime and dismiss elements of the case and do all sorts of things. So I really think the Georgia case is at risk. And it remains to be seen if the judge will have the courage to hold accountable the defense for their bullshit motion. Now, when you decide to remove a prosecutor in a case like this, it can't be speculative. But on the 2 points that matter, which is one, were they having a relationship that could have contemplated a benefit to Wade if he was appointed to the job, and she could have a benefit if he returned funds to her? Well, I think Wade and Willis have put that to rest. Second, was there funds that were exchanged that created a conflict? And again, this can't be speculative according to the law in Georgia. And I think by the fact of her testimony, and her strong testimony, that the right decision is that No, I don't see anything here. And what result do I think there should be? Maybe there should be some language by the court, but the result should be I deny the defendant's motion to remove Willis and Wade from this case. Now, the next thing I'd like this judge to do, and you got to ask why it hasn't happened, fix a trial date and put Trump in the seat and do what you're supposed to be doing, which is hearing this case. So, there are other things going on, but these are the two things that I think are worth. Sorry, school bus. You just, get out of your way. Get out of their way. So, I think that it's great that we're getting the thing going in New York. It would be ironic if the first prosecution was the one that closed out Trump, and I think a New York judge would put him in jail if he got convicted. And it's also good that we had the fight that we did down in Georgia, and that both Willis and Wade trotted some really good stuff before the court. Of course, it remains to be seen at the time I'm walking what the judge will do with it, and I'm hopeful that he'll sustain the case and maybe someday, soon, get a trial date. Do what you're supposed to do. Try the case. So, I say hello to you from my cathedral of trees, and it's nice. The sun is shining through. It's a pretty day out. And so, tomorrow I'll be out again. Bye-bye.